The previous section has shown us how to have a basic idea about each crystal's supposed intention based on their color. But as we have seen there, different colors have different intentions. As such, with varying purposes, we cannot simply pick all crystals and expect them to work harmoniously. While each of them has their own value proposition, not all of them can lead you towards your current goal in life. With this, our article will provide you with some practical guidelines that you can observe in your journey as a crystal user. By keeping these tips in mind, you will be able to better harness the power of healing crystals, given that you'll become more efficient and effective in your approach. So here are 7 powerful tips on how to match healing crystals with your own goals. Tip. Say for instance, you are in your daily journey, and you happen to stumble upon a new crystal boutique. As you enter, you are ecstatic, high-spirited in your approach as you feel the excitement of having access to new crystals. Inevitably, you indulge yourself in the vastness of the selections available. And as you go through, you cannot help but be overwhelmed. Being so, you decided to simply purchase a bunch of crystals even when you haven't really had an end in mind. While this can be good, given that you have a big fat purse, the lack of focus in such action can lead all of it to be meaningless. Purchasing a bunch of healing stones will not make you a crystal guru, nor will it make your ex come back. Instead, having a lot of unnecessary healing crystals in your bedroom will only clog conflicting energies, hindering your path in moving forward. As such, one consideration for you to effectively utilize healing crystals is to begin with an end in mind. Just as in all things, having an end in mind is one of the best ways to succeed in life. When the goal is clear, an individual with perseverance and wits will be able to achieve it. Yet, if you are already successful, you won't be here because you're most likely busy maintaining your success. The mere fact that you are here, reading this article, means that at the very least, you are considering how healing crystals will contribute to your success. With that in mind, our first tip is to make sure that you are clear within yourself what you want to achieve. Try to have this clarity to the point that you will be able to perfectly visualize the goal. After which, you would know by now which healing crystals are most likely to help and contribute in your success. Having an idea of their functions, it would be less difficult for you to know which ones to purchase. In comparison, this approach of beginning with an end in mind is a far better one compared to simply purchasing whatever crystal you see next. Thus, the next healing crystal purchase you will make should be a meaningful one, a choice that is sensitive to your goals and vision in life. By beginning with an end in mind, you have better odds of being heavily in sync with the healing crystal of your choice. Tip. While in the first tip, we can see that the healing crystal user must have a clear goal or end before proceeding with the task of obtaining crystals, the second tip will kind of take away that control. In using healing crystals, we have to take note that partly the task is to align our goals and visions with the energies of Mother Earth and its vibrations. This is why it is crucial to properly select our healing crystals. But more than this, we also have to understand that their power is not something that we can command. Healing crystals are not sewing machines that we can fix and utilize at will. Rather, they are containers of the mystic energies and vibrations of the world around us. As such, it shouldn't be a surprise that we won't be able to control them. With this context, we have to realize that healing crystals also have the power to choose its user. As you embark in this journey of harnessing its power, you have to view them with reverence, taking into account their mystic nature. In choosing your healing crystals, you have to remember that you are not in control. Choosing a healing crystal just because you want this or want that doesn't work. This method is too egoistic and anthropocentric, a failed attempt to become sensitive to the various niches each crystal has. Given such, the remedy lies in being sensitive to these niches. When you choose your healing crystals, try to let go of your ego for a while, as this practice will allow you to feel their power work through you. Although you'll be taking in consideration the end that you have in mind, emptying your cup is crucial if you want to have a genuine healing process. As you are now empty, you allow yourself to be open to the power of these crystals, taking your ego away from the driver's seat. This process will inevitably lead to a crystal choosing you to become its owner. As you let go of your biases and preconceived notions, the crystal will be able to choose you. Exercising your willpower of emptying your cup allows the crystal to project itself in your mind, giving you an inexplicable feeling that can induce goosebumps. Such feeling is your cue that your crystal has selected you as its owner. Thus, the way to go is to be sensitive, let go, and immerse yourself in their powers, as you allow them to pick you. Just as a warrior is capable of using any weapon, a legendary sword chooses its owner, a warrior experienced enough, worthy of its great power. The same is true with healing crystals. Tip: while we can see YouTube experts who are practically obsessed with this whole healing crystals as they have a room of it, their usual tip tells us that we shouldn't necessarily follow suit. They have spent years of learning and practicing crystal healing, making them more in tune with such. Although they won't stop you from buying all the crystals that you want, the general tip is to avoid having too much of these crystals. One good reason is that, as mentioned above, having too many crystals may mean that we lack focus. When one has too much at hand, one fails to juggle them properly. Just as in buffets, filling your plate with more than what you can consume will inevitably result in spoilage or puking. For one, we have to understand that this goes with the natural order of things in nature, that and excess will lead to a regress. Nature seeks balance, and the lack of it leads to chaos. Being fruits of Mother Nature itself, healing crystals embody its essence. And if part of nature's essence is to constantly keep the balance, then it would necessarily be counterintuitive to have too many crystals at the same time. Following the natural course of nature, we should refrain from having too many crystals at once. Another good reason why we should avoid ourselves being bombarded with too many crystals is that our focus can only handle one at a time. In using healing crystals, we usually meditate with them. As discussed in the previous sections, meditating with healing crystals requires inner tranquility and silence, a process which allows for its power to work within us. But as the king of high-ticket sales would put it, where your attention goes, energy flows, and results show. The same is necessarily true with your healing crystals. Having too much of them in one place will not only cause a disturbance in energy flow, to be discussed thoroughly in the next section, but also disperse your attention just by the mere fact that they can simultaneously fill in your subconscious. Just like when you have too much stuff in your own home resulting into a cluttered mind, having too many healing crystals at one time can result to lack of focus and internal chaos. While you may not be consciously aware of it, seeing too many crystals at a time can lead to a cluttered instead of a focused and motivated mind. Given the sheer potency that these crystals have, having too much can influence your subconscious, making you feel less attuned with yourself. Thus, you are better off having a few at the same time, as this keeps their functions in check. Tip: just as the quick guide that accompanies this general overview will grant access to around 350 healing crystals, even the sheer act of imagining it will be problematic. The caveat thought is that we never said that you couldn't purchase and keep all 350 to 430 healing crystals. Rather, what's worth noting is to not have them all on the same place at the same time. Yes, you can technically own all of them like those YouTube crystal healing experts. The catch, however, is that you have to be sensitive in doing so, as it requires expertise in keeping and storing them properly. But before we discuss how to store them in a proper way, it pays to place our attention first on why we should store them properly anyway. More often than not, people who are only beginning to explore the power of healing crystals are less careful in their dealings. As such, they have the tendency to simply purchase at will, meditate whenever they feel convenient, and carelessly store their crystals. What's even worse is that they may recklessly purchase crystals just because they like it, meditate on them, and just leave them wherever. With this, we have to be clear why proper storage is necessary for the use of healing crystals first before anything else. One very important reason is, as slightly mentioned above, having your healing crystals means adding energy in your home, purse, or even mind. While their energy can potentially be good, storing too much with varying intentions can cause unnecessary conflict. What we mean by this is more than the conflict you experience when you see too much of them. Failing to store them properly will lead to conflicting energies as well. Given that each healing crystal is a condensed form of nature's energy which was created with years or even centuries of slow and delicate processes, carelessly storing them will lead to a chaotic mix of vibrations. As such, the key is always in proper moderation by making sure that even when you have all these crystals, you are a responsible owner. By this what we mean is that you are responsible enough not to just squander them around, making sure that each crystal is housed in a secured compartment. Not only will it clear your subconscious from unnecessary stuff, storing them properly will also make sure that their energies won't mix. Preventing them from doing so is an effective way of ensuring that they won't cancel out each other or add up to form an incomprehensible vibration. With this, one practical tip on how to store your healing crystals properly is by using a multi-compartment jewelry box. Although storing crystals altogether can be acceptable, especially if they are coming from the same intention and family, it is always better to have multiple compartments. By doing so, you get to ensure that your crystals are in the right places, giving you quick access and taking out only that which you need for the day. It will also physically prevent your crystals from getting damaged or consuming dirt. Lastly, making sure that your crystals are stored properly in the right places will ensure that they are clean from negative energies and that they remain charged, points that will be discussed in the succeeding sections. Tip: physically, healing crystals can be subjected to wear and tear, a natural process of having on using them. This is why we have repeatedly emphasized that healing crystals must be stored properly. Letting other things like dust and rust retain on these things can make it problematic, leading to problems such as dents and discoloration. As such, it is important to properly clean and take care of your crystals. While the physical aspect is important, what beginner crystal users fail to take note of is that ensuring the cleanliness of your healing crystals also involves taking care of the internal part. By this, we are referring to the energy stored in the healing crystal itself. Failure to take care of your healing crystal can result in negative consequences, particularly on the kind of energy it emits. This is, of course, with the premise that healing crystals practically act as vessels of energy. In this case, a protective crystal may absorb negative energy, reducing the possibility of bad things to happen in your life. In the same way, positive crystals may attract luck and good riddance through its energies. However, their effectiveness may vary and possibly be affected by the way that you have kept them. One possible factor is when you have accidentally mixed crystals which have conflicting energies. When these energies mix together, they may end up canceling out, a predicament for a cleansing charge, or they may form negative electromagnetic waves which aren't helpful to you in any way. Furthermore, you would also know if it's time to clean your crystals because you'll feel the declining effect in your life. As you reflect on your own experiences, you'll feel that lack even when you are facing your crystals, a way of them signaling you to do something about it. As a beginner or even an intermediate at this sacred and complex practice, one should be wary of this and avoid complications at all costs. Cleansing your healing crystals is an easy task given that there can be a multitude of ways to do it. It also doesn't take too much time, a concept that is relative after all. The proper care of these crystals should be treated as a maintenance for having them. When you purchase a healing crystal, you are taking a piece of Mother Earth in your hands, making you ultimately its guardian. Like nature, we have to take care of these healing crystals by making sure that they are clean and free from unnecessary stuff. Tip: while we may not know it, certain activities that we have done or have not done may have led to discrepancies in how our crystals emit their energies. As such, it is necessary that before we use our crystals, we have to make sure that they are charged. In most cases, newly bought crystals still have a lot of charges in them. This is because the ones who originally had them most likely had the proper skills to handle these crystals. Also, they obtained these crystals without the intention of using them, making its energy intact. But as we obtain them and utilize daily, their energies will naturally lessen. Although most healing crystal experts would say that they won't deplete, making sure that they are charged is essential for them to be consistently effective. A black tourmaline, for instance, is used to ward off negative vibes and bad luck. As we carry it with us every day, either in our purse or as a wearable jewelry, it absorbs most of the negativity around us. But as it does its job, it is also being slowly drained. As we consume its contents, the warding energies contained in these crystals can be depleted. Given that most healing crystals are sourced from Earth itself, one way to charge it is to reconnect it with its original habitat, the soil. Just as our phones are powered by energy, we plug them in order to power them up. The same principle applies to our healing crystals, that the more we utilize them, the more we are required to charge and clean them. This premise also assumes that the rate of charging our healing crystals is commensurate to the amount of usage that we have. The electromagnetic vibrations stored in these healing crystals are consumed at faster rates, especially if we utilize them both physically and internally. As you use your carnelian in your bath, and sleep with it afterwards, while taking it with you in the office hoping that you will ward off those negativities in your daily tasks, it will be quickly depleted. You will notice this as you become more susceptible to stress and become less courageous in your dealings, a complete opposite to what you have expected in having this crystal with you all the time. With this, it is important to know that it is not enough to simply clean our crystals. It is also equally important to charge them, making sure that they have enough vibrations and energies within. Tip: in chakra healing, there are 7 known chakra points which represent pathways of energy in and out of the body. These 7 chakra points each serve a different purpose, specifically relevant to their bodily function. For instance, the heart chakra can be located near the chest, and functions as a pathway of cosmic energy for our own feelings. As such, when we have problems with the way we communicate with others, the heart chakra can be an avenue for improvement. With this, all the other 7 chakra points have relevance to the overall structure of chi energy healing. And while it is different from crystal healing, we cannot deny that such exists and is valuable in its own right.